FM.
93 or 93.2 FM, island-wide.
A very good afternoon. This is Tamal Fernando bringing you the news in detail.
The news headlines on Gold FM.
In the news headlines, Iran says US talks progressing but far from deal. Houthis threaten closure of Bab al-Mandab. House fire in Maharagama kills 3. Vice President of India arrives in Colombo. India signals deepening trust with Sri Lanka. Dozens drowned in 1 week. Hundreds of homes destroyed from fire in Malaysia.
The top story on Gold FM.
Mohammad Baghel Ghalibaf, Iran's parliamentary speaker, says that while progress had been made in negotiations to end the war with the US, the two sides are far from final discussion. One of Iran's negotiators, Ghalibaf, was in Pakistan last week for peace talks with US envoys, including Vice President J.D. Vance. No date has been set for the next round of talks. His comments come against a backdrop where Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps once again closed the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. At least 3 vessels, which include 2 Indian-flagged ones that tried to pass the strait, came under attack from Iranian gunboats. Following the incident, India flagged its deep concern over the attack, and the Indian External Affairs Ministry urged Iran to facilitate India-bound ships across the strait at the earliest possible time. Against this backdrop, US President Donald Trump said that he won't let Tehran blackmail the US over the Strait of Hormuz.
They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no leaders, they have no nothing. Actually, their leaders are, it is regime change. You call that enforced regime change, but we're talking to them. They wanted to close up the strait again, as they've been doing for years, and they can't blackmail us. In fact, a lot of the ships are coming up to Texas. I don't know if you know, in Louisiana, the ships are coming up. They got used to it. Maybe they'll keep doing it. It worked out pretty good, but it's going actually along very well, and we'll see, but we'll have some information by the end of the day. We're talking to them, and we're taking a tough stand. They've killed a lot of people.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Foreign Minister of the Houthi government in Sana'a issued a warning that rebels might close the Bab el-Mandab Strait off the coast of Yemen. Hussein el-Lessi claimed on X that any decision to shut the waterway would leave the world powerless to reopen it. This threat targeted US President Donald Trump with demands to cease policies that obstruct peace. Against this backdrop, former US Vice President Kamala Harris accused Israel of dragging Trump into a war.
He entered a war, got pulled into it by Bibi Netanyahu, let's be clear about that, entered a war that the American people do not want, putting at risk American service members.
In the meantime, Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem dismissed the current ceasefire proposal as an insult to Lebanon. This was during a statement to state television. Qassem argued against a one-sided agreement and refused a return to previous conditions where Israel reportedly acted without retaliation. He claimed prior diplomatic efforts yielded no results for the group. Despite this political tension, thousands of civilians traveled towards South Lebanon throughout the day to inspect homes and salvage belongings. Meanwhile, Iran prepared for a gradual reopening of its national airspace following a directive from the Civil Aviation Organization. Officials confirmed a 4-stage plan to restore flight operations, beginning with the resumption of transit flights. The strategy prioritized services from eastern airports before expanding to Tehran's Mehrabad and Imam Khomeini hubs. Authorities suspended all ticket sales pending further official updates and advised passengers to monitor formal announcements. Although the report detailed the structured return of westbound travel, the specific timing for the commencement of the first phase remained unconfirmed.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
A long-standing dispute between a landlord and its tenants in Maharagama resulted in a fatal arson attack that left 3 people dead. Police confirmed that the 76-year-old homeowner succumbed to his injuries in hospital after setting fire to the upper floor of his residence on Pamunua Road. The blaze killed a 55-year-old mother and her 16-year-old daughter who rented the space. The 46-year-old father remains in critical condition at the Kalubowila Teaching Hospital with severe burns. Investigators recovered containers of petrol at the scene. Total drowning fatalities across the country rose to 28 since 12th of April. This follows a double tragedy at the Nalachia Reservoir in Tabutegama yesterday. The latest victims include a 19-year-old student and a 30-year-old school teacher who got into difficulty while bathing yesterday afternoon. All the local residents rescued the pair and rushed them to the Tabutegama Base Hospital. Medical staff pronounced them dead on arrival. In separate incident near the Tisavava Bridge in Anuradhapura, police lifeguards rescued a 27-year-old man from an unsafe swimming area. Leader of the National Freedom Front, Vimal Veeravansa, pledged that a government in the future will initiate legal proceedings against all individuals involved in the coal procurement scams. He said this while speaking at a press conference in Colombo today, and in the interest of clarity, we refrained from dubbing his remarks.
නලින්ද ජයතිස්සල කමින් සූන් පණිවිඩ නිකුත් කරන්න පටන් ගන්න. ටෙන්ඩර් ක්‍රියාවලියේ සිදුවෙච්ච ප්‍රමාදය නිසා බාල ගල්ලඟුරු නැව් ටිකවත් ගොඩ වාන්න බැරි තත්වයකට ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා. වාරකන් තත්වයේ උදා වෙලා තිබෙනවා. සමහර නැව් පොලිමේ තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා. ඒ තියාගෙන ඉන්න හැම මොහොතකටම ප්‍රමාද ගාස්තු ඩොලර් වලින් ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. ඩොලර් මිලියන් වලින් ගෙවන්න. බොරු කියලා බලය අරගෙන, බොරු අල්ලන්න කියලා බලය අරගෙන මහා දවල් කරපු මහා හොරකමේ සාපය. ඒ සාපේ පාපය තමයි අද මේ රටේ පොදු ජනතාව මත කඩාපාත් වෙමින් තියෙන්නේ. ජනාධිපති කොමිසම දාන්න කලින් හිත මිතුරු සුළඟ කියනවා අඟුරු කුමාර කියනවා බාල කුමාරට බහැලා පොඩ්ඩක් විවේකයක් ගනින් කියලා මහන්සිත් ඇතිනේ කියලා. දැන් කොමිසම් දාන්න කියලා කවුද ඉල්ලුවේ? කේලිය රමුක් වැල්ලට චෝදනාවක් ආවා පැමිණිල්ල ආවා බාල බෙහෙත් ගෙන්නලා ඉන්නේ. ඒ වෙලේ හිටියේ ජනාධිපති රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ. එතුමාටත් තිබ්බා ඕනනම් කොමිසමක් දාන්න. නිකන් කොමිසමක් නෙවෙයි. ඒ බාල බෙහෙත් පමණක් නොව ඊට පෙරගෙන ඇති 940 ඉඳලා කියමුකෝ නැත්තම් 50 ඉඳන් කියමුකෝ. එහෙම නැත්තම් 55 ඉඳන් කියමුකෝ. අන්නේ කාලේ ඉඳන් ගෙනවිත් තිබෙන බාල බෙහෙත් පිළිබඳ සියලු දේවල් විමර්ශනය කොට නිගමනය ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම සඳහා විශේෂ ජනාධිපති කොමිෂන් සභාවපත් කරන්න තිබ්බා. එහෙමනම් තාම කොමිෂන් සභාවපත් වෙලා. තාම විභාග කරනවා. ඒක කලේ නෑ. ඒක බොරුව වංචාව. ඒකෙන් ඇත්ත එළියට එන්නේ නෑ. කොමිෂන් වලින් ඕන මිනිහගේ කලිසම අන්දලා තියා ගන්නවා. කලිසම් ගලවන්නේ කොමිෂන් වලින් වෙන කයකේ. වෙන ඕන පැමිණිල්ලකට තියෙන ගාය මේකට නැත්තේ. මීළඟ ආණ්ඩුව යටතේ මීට අදාළ නියම විමර්ශනය සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒ අධිකරණයට මේ පැමිණිල්ල මේ අවනඩුව යනවා. එදාට සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ අඟුරු කුමාරටයි බාල කුමාරටයි දෙන්නටම හිරේ ළඟින්න මිසක් වෙන දෙයක් නොවන බව අපි සක්සුදක්සේ දන්නවා. හිරේ යන්න ලෑස්ති වෙලා ඉන්න ජනාධිපතිතුමෝ ඔබතුමා මේ ගල් ලඟුරු මගඩියට කොහොමද සම්බන්ධ කියලා ඔප්පු කරන්න ඕන සියලු කරුණු ඉදිරි කාලය තුල ඔප්පු වෙනවා.
Indian Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan arrived in Sri Lanka today for a 2-day official visit. During his visit, he will meet President Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya for bilateral discussions. Radhakrishnan's schedule also includes meetings with political and community leaders alongside the exchange of several memoranda of understanding. These agreements focus on enhanced cooperation, specifically regarding Cyclone Ditwa rehabilitation and development projects supported by the Indian government. Meanwhile, due to the Indian Vice President's visit to Sri Lanka, a special traffic plan will be in effect around Colombo today and tomorrow. An unprecedented trust and goodwill exist in the relationship between Sri Lanka and India. This is said by Indian High Commissioner in Colombo Santosh Jha during an interview with Indian media. When quizzed about his view of the relationship with Sri Lanka, he noted that it is of high quality.
We today have unprecedented trust and goodwill in the relationship. There is a very high level in terms of quality of the relationship. The acceptance and the recognition that India is a trusted partner, reliable neighbor is very, very strong among Sri Lankan people.
When asked about the key priorities of the Indian mission in Colombo, this is what he had to say.
We generally focus on things that we can share with Sri Lanka. So digitization, energy, infrastructure, development as a whole, all these are the main pillars of the partnership.
How important are cultural exchange?
I mean, if you look at the history of India and Sri Lanka, there is so much common between us. If you look at tourism, for example, India is probably the only country which comes to Sri Lanka for historical pilgrimage-related tourism. There is a Ramayan trail in Sri Lanka. There is a Buddhist circuit in India. And this is very, very important element of our exchange.
Farmers in Polonnaruwa and Habarana reported significant hardships due to the rising costs of urea and other essential fertilizers for highland crops. They noted that the absence of a fertilizer subsidy for these specific cultivations left many growers in a precarious financial state. Farmers called for immediate intervention to address the pricing crisis and provide necessary relief to sustain their agricultural activities.
Now for some news in brief.
Police launched an investigation after a gunman fired at a residence in Midigama and set a vehicle ablaze last night.
The business news on Gold FM.
Sri Lanka and China discussed the potential benefits of promoting renminbi denominated settlements for trade between the two countries. This was said during a meeting between Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe and the Governor of the People Banks of China, Dr. Pan Gongsheng. The meeting took place on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington. Both governors also discussed the escalated geopolitical tensions. Meanwhile, another meeting was held between the CBSL chief and Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Sanjay Malhotra. Discussions focused on efforts to promote Indian rupee-based settlement for trade and tourism.
International news on Gold FM.
A devastating blaze destroyed approximately 200 homes in a coastal village in Malaysia's Sabah state early this morning. Emergency services received reports of the fire around 1:30 Malaysian time, but rapid spread occurred due to strong winds and the close proximity of the wooden structures. Fire officials noted that low tide conditions further hindered efforts to secure an open water source. The affected area consists of a traditional water village where houses stand on stilts, housing many of the region's poorest and most vulnerable communities. Unofficial figures suggest at least 445 residents now seek shelter at a temporary relief center.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Universal's Super Mario Galaxy movie maintained the box office's top spot for a third consecutive weekend. This outperforms new releases, including the Lee Croning's The Mummy. The horror reimagining earned $5.2 million on its opening Friday and is expected to reach $12 million by today. Magnolia Pictures' Normal also entered the domestic market but failed to disrupt the dominance of the leading animated adaptation.
Sports news on Gold FM.
The Athletics Association of Sri Lanka accepted the resignation of its General Secretary. Association President Bimal Vijayasinghe stated that officials will determine the next steps following an executive committee briefing this coming Tuesday. Meanwhile, the election committee for the National Olympic Committee expects to announce the list of accepted and rejected nominations today. This announcement precedes the official Olympic Committee elections scheduled for this Saturday. The New Zealand under-85 kg rugby squad will arrive in Sri Lanka on Wednesday ahead of a two-match series against the Sri Lankan national side. The visitors face Sri Lanka in the opening fixture this Saturday at the Colombo Racecourse. Following the clash in Colombo, the teams travel to Kandy for the second encounter, scheduled for 3rd of May at the Nithawela Stadium. That's it from the news in detail.